Can you give your assessment of what you feel the chances are a deal of? The president just talked about a 50-50 chance and the biggest obstacle being fairness. What would you say are those things for you?
I think the president is right. We have a 50 to 50% chance to strike a deal. And indeed, it is about rebalancing. So you can call it fairness, you can call it rebalancing. We have a surplus, the United States has a deficit, and we have to rebalance it. You have an excellent trade relation. It's a huge volume of trade that we have together. So we will make it more sustainable.
Mr. Trump, can you do better than 15% tariff rate for the EU?
Better meaning lower?
Yeah.
No.
Mr. President, to return to Gaza, you're going to meet the British Prime Minister tomorrow. He's going to ask you to consider again peace talks between Israel and Hamas. Are you now saying there is no point in trying to resolve?
Well, we're meeting about a lot of things. We have our trade deal, and it's been a great deal. It's good for them and good for us, I think. You know, the UK is very happy. They've been trying for 12 years to get it, and they got it. And it's a great trade deal for both. It works out very well. But we'll be discussing that. I think we're going to be discussing a lot about Israel. They're very much involved in terms of wanting something to happen. He's doing a very good job, by the way.
Also in Gaza, sir, did you speak with Prime Minister Netanyahu this weekend about getting more aid in Gaza?
I talked to him, yeah, I did. I talked to him about a lot of things. I talked to him about Iran. I think Iran's been very nasty with their words, with their mouth. I think they've been very nasty. They got the hell knocked out of them, and I don't think they know it. You know, I actually don't think they know it. They really do. The whole thing's a con job. We have a lot of con jobs going on. But Iran was beaten up very badly, for good reason. We cannot have them have a nuclear weapon, but they still talk about enrichment. I mean, who would do that? You just come out of something that's so bad, and they talk about, we want to continue enrichment. Who would say that? How stupid can you be to say that? So we're not going to allow that to happen. We're not allowing that to happen.
Did you talk about more aid into Gaza?
Will I do more aid? Yeah. The U.S. is going to do more aid for Gaza. But we'd like to have other countries participate. We're going to mention that to the European Union today. You know, that's an international problem. It's not a U.S. problem. It's an international problem. And we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food and a lot of everything. If we weren't there, I think people would have starved, frankly. They would have starved. And it's not like they're eating well. But a lot of that food is getting stolen by Hamas. You know, they're stealing the food. They're stealing a lot of things. You ship it in and they steal it. Then they sell it.
On Friday you said that Europe is being crushed by mass migration, and I wondered whether your friends on this side of the room agree with you on that.
Well, I'd let you respond to that if you'd like.
So we have been working intensively on the topic of irregular migration. And we have, from the very beginning, said that migration is a European challenge that needs a European answer. As Europeans, we will fulfill our international obligations, as we've done in the past, also in the future. But we, as Europeans, are the ones who decide who comes to the European Union and under what circumstances, and not the smugglers and traffickers. That's the principle in which we are working.
I will say this, you know, they did ask me when I got off the plane, immigration, Europe has a tremendous problem, and we do too, but we've sealed our borders. We have nobody coming in, and we have hundreds of thousands of people being taken out, and the bad ones first, and I think we're doing a very good job of that. But we had, I mean, it literally registered 0 people last month. You probably saw that, nobody. And Europe has a very similar problem. I think they're going to end up in the same place. You might as well go there quicker. And the other thing I say to Europe, we will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery, our valleys, our beautiful plains. And I'm not talking about airplanes. I'm talking about beautiful plains, beautiful areas in the United States. And you look up, and you see windmills all over the place. It's a horrible thing. It's the most expensive form of energy. It's no good. They're made in China, almost all of them. When they start to rust and rot in 8 years, You can't really turn them off. You can't bury them. They won't let you bury the propellers, you know, the props, because there's a certain type of fiber that doesn't go well with the land. That's what they say. The environmentalists say you can't bury them because the fiber doesn't go well with the land. In other words, if you bury it, it will harm our soil. The whole thing is a con job. It's very expensive. And in all fairness, Germany tried it, and wind doesn't work. You need subsidy for wind, and energy should not need subsidy. With energy, you make money. You don't lose money. But more important than that is it ruins the landscape. It kills the birds. They're noisy. You know, you have a certain place in the Massachusetts area that over the last 20 years had 1 or 2 whales wash ashore, and over the last short period of time, they had 18, okay? Because it's driving them loco. It's driving them crazy. Now, windmills will not come. It's not going to happen in the United States. And it's very expensive. And I would love to see. I mean, today I'm playing the best course, I think, in the world, Turnberry. Even though I own it, it's probably the best course in the world, right? And I look over the horizon and I see 9 windmills. It's like right at the end of the 18th. I said, isn't that a shame? What a shame. You have the same thing all over Europe in particular. You have windmills all over the place. Some of the countries prohibit it, but people ought to know that these windmills are very destructive. They're environmentally unsound, just the exact opposite. Because the environmentalists, they're not really environmentalists. They're political hacks. These are people that they almost want to harm the country. But you look at these beautiful landscapes all over the world. Many countries have gotten smart. They will not allow it. They will not. It's the worst form of energy, the most expensive form of energy. But windmills should not be allowed. Okay. I did.
Are they doing enough to stop this?
I hope so. You're talking about Cambodia and Thailand? So I had an interesting time. We're dealing with Thailand, and we do a lot of trade with Thailand and with Cambodia. And yet, I'm reading that they're killing each other. You know, they're fighting. They're in a war. And I say, this should be an easy one for me because I've settled with India and Pakistan, and Serbia and Kosovo was going at it, you know, but they have for a long time, in all fairness. Right? You know about that. And others, the Congo. And you know what's gone on there. That's been a horrible thing with Rwanda. That's been a horrible thing. 31 years, 7 million, 8 million people killed. Machetes all over the place. It's a terrible thing. We got that one solved. We did 5 of them. And I was saying, you know, we have a trade deal. We were working on another. We finalized another trade deal yesterday. And I asked my people, I said, how are we doing with Cambodia and how are we doing with Thailand? And they say they're going to be coming in at some point to talk. I said, well, let's call them right now. So I called the prime ministers of each. And I said, we're not going to make a trade deal unless you settle the war. A lot of people are killed, you know that, in a short period of time. The border, they're fighting pretty like wild. And I spoke to both of the prime ministers, and I think by the time I got off, I think they want to settle now. I know they're meeting today or tomorrow, and we're going to work with them. Marco Rubio's working with them also, his people, and him. I think we're going to get that. That would be a great thing, but that would have turned out to be a bad one. And I will tell you, India and Pakistan, they were really getting ready to go at it. So getting those things settled, if I can do it, and if I can use trade to do that, it's you know, it's my honor. But I had great talks with 2 very good people that they both really would like to make a deal. So we'll see what happens. Okay, how about 1 more, 2 more?
Europe's now spending a lot more on defense, thanks to you.
They are.
Should they get a fairer deal on trade and exchange?
Well, they're spending a lot on defense, but we're spending a lot more. And, you know, and we've been very generous to NATO for many, many years. And no, but we had a terrific meeting with NATO. I'd love to do as well. We had a meeting where they put up 5% instead of 2%, and they're going to pay it instead of not paying. Because, as you know, many people didn't pay the 2% or anywhere near it, and the 2% was too low. And we're going to be sending now military equipment and other equipment to NATO, and they'll be doing what they want, but I guess as for the most part working with Ukraine. But we had a fantastic meeting, I guess it's now almost 4 weeks ago, one of the best meetings they've ever had at NATO, and the spirit and the coming together was incredible. And I stood and I listened to almost 30 speeches. That was a lot. And I was really late, and I had to leave, but I didn't want to leave before those last 10 spoke, because they'd go home and they'd tell their wife, Trump left. And they were so nice to the United States. They were all mentioning the United States, and me, but they were mentioning the United States to be here. It's such an honor, you know, et cetera. And I thought it would have been inappropriate. But I did stay. It was very hard because I was extremely late for something else that was, you know, pretty important. And we had a tremendous NATO meeting. I'm sure you heard that too. Yep. It was great. There's some great people that you deal with on two fronts, right? But you deal with on primarily the trade front. But I will tell you, they came together, and the relationship is really good. That was it's an interesting question, because you probably have reported it that way. It really, we came together, and they went from 2% to 5%, which nobody would have thought that was even, who would even think that? Because they didn't want to be at 2%. All of a sudden, they're 5%. And that's the right number. And so it was a great honor. I got to know the heads of those countries really very well at that meeting almost a month ago. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. We'll let you know what's happening. Thank you.
Will you be visiting your Irish golf course anytime soon, Doonbeg?
I will. I love Doonbeg. I'll go. It's not in this trip, but I'll go soon. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, so that is live in Scotland, where President Trump is currently meeting EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen, who's seated next to him. And he says that he's not in a good mood of meeting with the EU over the tariffs issue. He says he hopes the talks will last for an hour, and all he hopes for is fairness. He says it is still 50-50 chance of a deal. The August 1st deadline still stays, and that is for everyone. Von der Leyen says it is a whole rebalancing act on the deal. We'll have to make it work. He also says that if we make a deal with EU, it will be the end of it. It's the biggest deal of our time. Let's talk to our correspondent, Susan Teherani, who's now joining us from New York on the phone. Susan Teherani, Donald Trump says he's not in a good mood. He says that this deal, if it is made with the EU, it will be the biggest deal of our time.
Yes, just because, as Ursula von der Leyen also said, there are so many resources in the European Union. They both still said that it would be a 50-50 chance that this deal is reached. I thought it was interesting, Eric, when he was asked if he can do better and go lower than a 15% across-the-board tariff rate for the European Union. He just simply replied by saying no. But he also suggested that pharmaceuticals will be treated separately from this deal with the European Union if it goes through, and that would be, of course, a big blow to Europe, because Europe was hoping to cap the tariff rate on medicines, which is ultimately their number one export to the United States. And President Trump said, quote unquote, that pharmaceuticals are very special. But yeah, as you mentioned, he said this is the biggest deal. People don't realize it. He acknowledged how big the transatlantic relationship remains. And by many measures, really, it is the world's biggest trading relationship when you think about it, just because so many countries are involved.
That's true, Susan. Something else that he spoke big about is Israel and what's happening in Gaza. And the president says that Israel will have to make a decision on Gaza very soon. That whole strip is a mess. We have to discuss with other international organizations and countries, especially in Europe, to assist in providing aid to Gaza. He claims Hamas is stealing the food and aid from Palestinians. Susan.
Yeah, he also said that the United States has contributed tens of millions to help the starving children in Gaza, but as you mentioned, he gave that caveat that the aid is being stolen, and he hasn't yet received a quote-unquote thank you. He said people are stealing food, they're stealing the money for the food, they're stealing weapons, they're stealing everything. It's a mess. That whole place is a mess. But of course, these comments come at a time when Israel is facing significant pressure over what's happening in Gaza. And he also said that Israel so far right now has said that it has paused some military activity to allow in more aid. President Trump said that the United States will be contributing to that and helping with this aid. But nonetheless, he did acknowledge that, the situation and the starvation that's going on over there really is something that, the president himself acknowledged as well.
Susan Tehrani is our correspondent. Thank you, Susan. We'll have to leave it there. She's our correspondent in New York. And the president also said that he solved the Thailand and Cambodia crisis from spiraling out of control. He says he spoke to both prime ministers of Cambodia and Thailand and told them that we are not going to make a deal with you, or we are not going to trade with you if you continue fighting. So on that front, he says he's dealt with it. So this is live in Scotland, where the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is currently meeting with EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen, and the meeting is set to last for about an hour. We'll see the outcome of this meeting. You are watching WION World is One.